Have you ever finished an absolutely brutal workout and thought, that was incredible? My muscles are definitely growing right now. Maybe your muscles were burning. Maybe you could barely lift your arms afterward. Maybe you were sore for 3 days. It feels productive. It feels like something important happened. After all, if a workout leaves you completely exhausted, it's easy to assume that your body must already be adapting. But here's the question. Are you actually building muscle while you're in the gym? Because if the answer is no, then a lot of people are misunderstanding what training is supposed to do. We often think of the gym as a place where muscle is built. We walk in, we train hard, we leave, and we imagine our body immediately adding muscle because of the work we just did. We picture every repetition as another brick being laid, as though our muscles are getting bigger in real time while we are lifting. That's not really how adaptation works, though. In fact, something almost counterintuitive is happening. While you're training, you're actually placing your body under stress. You're using energy. You're creating fatigue. You are temporarily making your ability to perform worse, not better. If you've ever noticed that your last set feels weaker than your first, that's because your body is becoming progressively more fatigued through the workout. So, if you're getting weaker while you're training, when exactly does the improvement happen? Your workout does not build muscle. The workout tells your body that it needs to build muscle. Those are similar, but very different. Think about it this way. Imagine, again, you're an engineer building a bridge. The stress test doesn't make the bridge stronger. It simply reveals whether the current design is capable of handling the required load. If the bridge fails the test, the engineers go back, reinforce that structure, and return with a stronger design. Your body operates in a very similar way. Every workout is a test. You're exposing your muscles to a challenge that they're not completely prepared for. The workout provides information, tells your body the current system isn't quite sufficient for the demands being placed on it, or it is more than sufficient for the demands placed on it. Only after that signal has been received does the body begin to decide how it should respond. And understanding that difference changes the way you think about this training, changes how you think about recovery, sleep, nutrition, rest days. Because if training is only the signal, then recovery is where the adaptation actually happens. Once you understand that concept, a lot of common fitness advice starts making much more sense. You begin to realize why sleeping 4 hours a night while training twice a day is not a good strategy. You understand why taking a rest day doesn't erase your progress, and you stop believing that the best workout is simply the one that leaves you the most exhausted. Instead, you start asking a much better question. Did I give my body a reason to adapt? And on top of that, did I give my body enough time to adapt? Because that's ultimately what resistance training is. You're not trying to force your muscles to grow inside of the gym. You're giving your body a problem that it has to solve once you leave. So, in this video, we're going to talk about what your workout is really accomplishing, what happens inside your body after you rack the weights, and why the muscle you're trying to build is created long after your workout has ended. Once you understand that process, you'll stop thinking of the gym as a place where muscle is built, and you'll start seeing it as a place where muscle growth begins. Let's start with what actually happens during the workout. You lift your weights, you're creating stress on the muscles. We've talked on this a little bit in the previous video. What might sound like a bad thing, but in this context, stress is actually what your body needs. Without stress, there is no reason for your body to change. Every adaptation your body makes, whether it's building muscle, strengthening bone, or improving cardiovascular fitness, is a response to some type of challenge. Now, resistance training provides that challenge you're looking for. The primary signal your muscles experience during resistance training is something called mechanical tension. We've talked about this in depth last video, but we'll go over it pretty briefly in this video. Mechanical tension is simply the force your muscles have to produce while contracting against resistance. Every time you perform a repetition, your muscle fibers are generating a force to move or control that weight. As the resistance becomes more challenging, your muscles must recruit more muscle fibers and produce greater amounts of force. The harder that those fibers are working, the greater the mechanical tension throughout that repetition and that set. This is important because your muscles aren't counting repetitions, they're not counting sets, they're not paying attention to how much you're sweating or how uncomfortable it feels. They are responding to the amount of force that they are being asked to produce and match. Inside every muscle fiber are specialized proteins that act almost like biological sensors. As mechanical tension increases, those sensors detect the stress and activate signaling pathways inside the cell. Those signaling pathways begin communicating a simple message. This current muscle may not be sufficient for this level of demand. That message is the beginning of adaptation. Notice what has not happened yet. You have not built any new muscle. You have simply informed your body that the current muscle needs to improve. That distinction is incredibly important because your body is remarkably efficient. It does not adapt without reason. Building muscle requires energy. Maintaining muscle requires energy. Every additional pound of muscle tissue costs your body calories to build and calories to maintain. From an evolutionary perspective, carrying around tissue that is not necessary would simply waste valuable resources. For most of human history, food was not always readily available, so your body would evolve to be economical. It avoids making expensive investments unless there's clear evidence they're actually needed. This is why your body waits for evidence. Training provides that evidence. Every productive workout is essentially your body gathering more information. So, when you repeatedly expose a muscle to challenging levels of mechanical tension, your body begins to recognize a pattern. This demand keeps occurring. The current amount of muscle is barely handling the workload. I should probably become better prepared for next time. That's adaptation. But adaptation is not the workout itself. The workout is simply the event that starts that process. So think of it this way: the workout creates the need, and recovery carries out the construction and rebuilding that adaptation signaling fired. An analogy would be like studying for an exam. Reading a textbook doesn't instantly make you smarter, instead, you're exposing your brain to new information. Over the following hours and days, your brain strengthens the neural connections associated with what you've learned. The studying provides the stimulus, the adaptation occurs afterwards. Muscle growth follows the same principle. The workout creates the reason to adapt, and remember that adaptation follows later. Now, something to note: the quality of the signal matters far more than how exhausted you feel afterwards. This is why fatigue should never be your primary goal. Fatigue is a cost, the stimulus is the goal. A productive workout creates enough mechanical tension to convince your body that adaptation is necessary without accumulating so much unnecessary fatigue that recovery becomes difficult. That is very much worth remembering when structuring your splits. Your workout is not the construction project, your workout is the blueprint. Your workout is the work order. It tells your body what needs to be built. The actual construction does not begin until you've left the gym and started recovering. So, if muscle is not built during training, when does it actually occur? The answer is very simple. It happens after your workout. The moment you finish your last rep and rack the weight, your training session is essentially over. Your body's response to that training is only beginning. During the workout, you challenged your muscles with mechanical tension. You created fatigue, disrupted normal cellular function, and signaled that the current muscle was not fully prepared for the demands that we placed on it. Now, your body has a decision to make. Should it simply recover back to where it was before, or should it adapt so next time it encounters that same challenge, it can handle it more efficiently? If your body has the resources available, it will always choose the second option. One of the primary responses to resistance training is an increase in muscle protein synthesis. Despite this name, it's a very straightforward concept. Your muscles are largely made out of proteins. After training, your body begins building new muscle proteins and incorporating them into existing muscle fibers. Over time, Those repeated cycles of repair and reinforcement cause the muscle fibers to become larger and better equipped to produce force. Notice something important here. Your body is not building an entirely new muscle, it's improving the one that you already have. Each productive workout is another opportunity to reinforce the existing structure so it's better prepared for future demands. Remember, you've challenged the system, now the system begins to adapt. But adaptation does not automatically occur, it requires resources to adapt. Your body needs amino acids from dietary proteins to build new muscle proteins. It needs recovery time away from the gym. It needs enough energy from calories to fuel those building processes. It needs sleep. And it needs enough overall recovery capacity to perform all of those processes efficiently. Suppose you've identified that a bridge needs stronger support beams. The engineers have already completed the inspection. They know exactly what improvements need to be made. But knowing what needs to happen doesn't actually strengthen the bridge. You still need the construction workers, you still need steel, you need equipment, you need electricity, and you need time to complete all the work to strengthen that bridge. Without those resources, the blueprint just remains a blueprint at the end of the day. Nothing will change, and your body is the exact same way. The training, remember, is signaling that we need to improve. We are insufficient at this load that we have been challenged at. Now, recovery determines whether that improvement can actually occur. That's why recovery should never be viewed as separate from training. Recovery is training. It's the phase where your body actually carries out the adaptations that your workout initiated. This is why sleep is so important. Many people think sleep as simply resting because you're tired. But psychologically, sleep is one of the most important recovery periods your body experiences. While you sleep, countless restorative processes are taking place. Hormones involved in tissue repair are released, fatigue is gradually reduced, damaged proteins are replaced, and resources are directed towards restoring your body after the stress of training. It's almost like an overnight maintenance crew arriving after a factory shuts down. During the day, the machines are running constantly. At night, the production line stops, repairs are made, worn parts are replaced, and everything is prepared for the next day's work. Without that maintenance period, the factory gradually becomes less efficient. Your body is not very different from that analogy. Nutrition plays a very similar and important role. Now, imagine trying to build a house without lumber or concrete. You might have a blueprint, you might have great skilled workers, but without the materials, construction cannot continue. Protein serves as a raw material body uses to build and repair muscle tissue. Calories provide the energy required to perform that work. But if you're constantly under eating or consuming too little proteins, you're asking your body to complete an expensive construction project without supplying the materials needed to finish it. Eventually, progress slows or altogether it stops. This is one reason beginners sometimes struggle to see results that they expect. They train hard enough to create an excellent growth stimulus, but they don't sleep consistently. They skip meals, they don't consume enough protein, or they simply recover poorly between workouts. The signal is there, the resources are not. And without both pieces of the equation, adaptation becomes much more difficult. This is why successful muscle growth is never just about what happens inside the gym, it's about what happens during the other 23 hours of the day. Every meal you eat, every night, quality sleep, every rest day you take, every decision that improves your recovery gives your body another opportunity to respond to the training you've already completed. Training starts the conversation, recovery finishes it. And if you remember nothing else from this section, remember this. The gym gives your body a reason to grow. Everything you do afterwards determines whether it actually can grow. Now, let's take this another step further. If recovery is where adaptation occurs, then an important question naturally follows. Wouldn't training more create even more growth? At first glance, that seems like a pretty good idea. If one productive workout stimulates muscle growth, then two workouts should stimulate even more. 10 hard sets are good, then 20 should be even better. And if 20 are good, why not 30? The line of thinking is incredibly common, and it's one of the biggest reasons people accidentally limit their own growth. If you watched the previous episode, this idea should already sound somewhat familiar. Every workout creates two things: stimulus and fatigue. The stimulus is the reason your body adapts. Fatigue is the cost of creating that stimulus. The goal is not to eliminate fatigue altogether. Some amount of fatigue is unavoidable whenever you're training hard enough to challenge your muscles and create a good stimulus. The problem is that stimulus and fatigue do not increase at the same rate. As you continue adding more work to a workout, the additional stimulus gradually begins to diminish while the fatigue continues to accumulate. Eventually, every extra set starts costing you more than it's going to be giving you. We've talked on an example of two lifters. One of them, let's say, shoots for 25 sets, the other one shoots for 15 sets. Now, did the one that did 25 sets create more stimulus? Very likely, yes. But did they also create dramatically more fatigue? For sure, they created more fatigue. And this is where recovery becomes a limiting factor. Adaptation doesn't happen during the workout, remember, it happens after. Every productive workout creates what you can think of as a recovery bill. Your body now has to repair damaged tissue, replace energy stores, reduce fatigue, and build new muscle proteins before it's fully prepared to train again. The larger that recovery bill becomes, the longer it takes your body to pay it off. If you continue adding unnecessary fatigue, you eventually reach a point where your recovery capacity cannot keep up with your training demands. Now you're asking your body to solve yesterday's problem while you're already creating today's problems. Imagine trying to renovate a building while demolition crews keep tearing down new sections every day. The construction workers never get the chance to finish rebuilding because they're constantly responding to fresh damage. Progress slows to a crawl, and the same exact thing is applicable to the gym. If you're constantly interrupting recovery by adding more and more unnecessary stress or fatigue, you're constantly sending signals without giving your body enough time to actually respond. It's like repeatedly restarting a software update before it has the chance to finish installing. The update never completes. You stay stuck in the installation process. Every time the computer gets close to finishing, you reset it and start over. Your body can experience something very similar. Every workout says adapt to this. But if your recovery never catches up, you're constantly creating new demands before the previous adaptations have been completed. This is one of the reasons experienced lifters don't judge the quality of a workout by how exhausted they feel afterward. Instead, they ask this simple question: can I recover from this and perform another high quality workout after my recovery? Because one incredible workout does not build an impressive physique. Hundreds of recoverable workouts do. This is also why rest days are not wasted days. Many people feel guilty when they are not in the gym. This is a very common feeling, and they feel like they're taking a day off and falling behind. In reality, it's the exact opposite. A rest day is not a day where nothing happens. A rest day is the day your body finally has the opportunity to carry out the adaptations you've been asking for. Remember, the gym is where you apply the stimulus, recovery is where you collect the return on that investment. Think of every workout as making a deposit into your body's adaptation account. Recovery is when the investment begins earning interest. Without recovery, you're making deposits that never have time to grow. So, if you've ever felt guilty for taking a day off, remember this: recovery is not the opposite of training. Recovery is a part of training. In fact, if today's workout prevents you from recovering well enough to perform tomorrow's or the next week's workout, then today's workout probably wasn't as productive as you thought. So, what should you do with this information? Fortunately, the practical application is much simpler than the science behind it. Once you understand that training is the stimulus and recovery is where adaptation occurs, it changes the way you evaluate every workout you perform. And instead of asking whether you trained hard enough to feel exhausted, you begin asking whether you created a productive stimulus that your body can realistically recover from. The first thing you should do is stop judging your workout solely by how exhausted you feel afterward. It's easy to walk out the gym dripping with sweat, completely out of breath, and convinced you had an incredible session. It's equally easy to finish a well designed workout without feeling completely destroyed and wonder if you did enough. Remember, fatigue is not the scorecard, the adaptation is. The goal isn't to see how much discomfort you can tolerate, the goal is to expose your muscles to enough mechanical tension that your body has a reason to adapt while still being able to recover before your next training session. A productive workout isn't the one that leaves you feeling the worst, it's the one that contributes the most to your long term progress. Second, prioritize sleep. If there were a recovery supplement that consistently improved performance, enhanced recovery, supported muscle growth, sharpened mental focus, and cost nothing, nearly every lifter would take it and the FDA would ban it. Sleep is about as close as we have to that. During sleep, your body performs many of the restorative processes that we've talked about throughout this video. Fatigue is reduced, damaged tissue is repaired, hormones involved in recovery are regulated, and your body has the opportunity to carry out adaptations initiated by training. No amount of extra volume in the gym can compensate for consistently poor sleep. If you are serious about building muscle, sleep cannot be stressed enough. Eat enough protein and enough total calories to support your goal. Remember, your workout only creates the need for adaptation, your diet provides the resources to actually carry it out. Protein supplies the amino acids needed to build new muscles. Calories provide the energy required to perform those building processes. Trying to build muscle while consistently under eating is like trying to build a house after only delivering half the construction materials. Remember, the blueprint would be perfect, the workers will be ready, but there's nothing to actually start the project. If you want to build new tissue, you have to give it the resources to do so. Fourth, respect your rest days. For many people, rest feels unproductive because nothing appears to be happening. You're not lifting weights, you're not getting a pump, and just because you can't see the work does not mean the work is not happening. Remember, muscle is not built while performing, it is built afterwards. Rest day is not evidence of laziness, it is not falling behind. It's the period where your body finally has the opportunity to respond to the training you've already completed. Rest days are not interruptions to your progress, they are part of the process that creates it. They are a part of the design. And finally, think long term. One workout would not build an impressive physique. Neither will 1 week, nor 1 month. Muscle is built through hundreds of productive workouts, each followed by enough recovery to allow adaptation to occur. Those adaptations accumulate. At first, they're almost impossible to notice, but over months and years, they compound into dramatic changes. That's one of the most fascinating things about resistance training. No individual workout is responsible for your physique. It's the accumulation of countless workouts, countless meals, countless nights of quality sleep, and countless recovery periods that ultimately produces the results. Nobody becomes muscular because of one heroic training session. They became muscular because they repeatedly apply an effective stimulus, recover from it, adapt, and then repeat that process over and over and over again for years to come. This is why consistency is so powerful. You're not just repeating workouts, you're repeating the entire adaptation cycle. Train, recover, adapt, repeat. Every time you complete that cycle successfully, your body becomes just a little bit more capable than it was before. And eventually, those small improvements become the results everybody else notices. Consistency works because adaptation compounds. The people who make the greatest progress aren't necessarily the ones who train the hardest on any given day. They have to train hard, yes, but they're the ones who successfully complete that cycle hundreds of times without interruption. This is simply how muscle is built through years and years of intentional balancing of stress, recovery, hard workouts, and adaptation. So, next time you finish a workout, don't ask yourself, did I suffer enough? Did I go as hard as I could? Did I make sure there was zero RIR? Ask yourself something much more useful. Did I give my body a reason to adapt and the ability to recover? Because that's the question your muscles are actually trying to answer. But iron does not build the muscle, it simply gives you a reason to. Recovery does the rest. Until next time, train with intention. This is Strength by Design.